Hello and welcome to the second quarter Sheriff's Roundup for 2015. I'm Sheriff Bill Brown, coming to you this time from Little Acorn Park, located in the heart of Isla Vista. We want to begin this roundup by acknowledging a very important and poignant anniversary. On May 23rd of this year, more than 1,000 people carrying blue lights gathered at Stork Plaza Tower on the UCSB campus to mark the one-year anniversary of the Isla Vista murders in order to remember the 6 UCSB students who were so savagely killed. The names of the victims were read following a moment of silence. The victims were Christopher Michael Martinez, Veronica Weiss, Catherine Cooper, Chen James Hong, George Chen, and Weihan David Wang. The crowd moved in a somber procession to People's Park in Isla Vista. It was a most solemn and fitting tribute to the bright, innocent lives lost during that horrible tragedy. Family and friends of the victims shared stories and reflections on their loved ones.
Dear 6 beautiful angels, may you rest in peace. Evils will be defeated. Love and humanity will prevail in the end. Let the little light of mine always let it shine. Thank you.
Our thoughts continue to be with the victims' families and friends. Their lives will never be the same as a result of this incident. The victims were also remembered with a moment of silence at a special public safety awards ceremony held at the Isla Vista Theater that recognized those who responded to and were involved in the aftermath of the Isla Vista murders. 5 sheriff's deputies were presented with the Sheriff's Medal of Valor. Deputy Adrian Marquez, Deputy Brian Flick, Deputy Jordan Walker, and Sergeant Brad Welsh were recognized for their bravery in engaging the suspect in 2 separate gun battles. Deputy Wayne Johnson was recognized for his split decision to prioritize the safety of his fellow deputies by not engaging the suspect when his field of fire was obstructed. The Sheriff's Meritorious Service Award was presented to Detective Joseph Schmidt, who served as the lead investigator on the case and who put together an extensive investigative summary that was publicly released. The Sheriff's Life-Saving Award was given to Deputy Patrick Genovese and Deputy Kenneth Rushing. Their actions helped save the lives of 2 victims who were critically wounded by the suspect's gunfire. Sheriff's Life-Saving Awards were also presented to 8 public safety officials who helped save the life of Santa Barbara Police Detective Mark Vieira. Mark responded to assist the night of the murders, and he suffered a massive heart attack at the Isla Vista Foot Patrol office. Thanks to the quick actions taken by 7 sheriff's deputies and a Santa Barbara County Fire Department paramedic, Mark survived and has made a full recovery.
How are you?
Thank you. Thank you is a simple word, but it's really the only words that I have. Without their intervention, I'm not here today.
The Sheriff's Unit Citation Award, a collective honor for extraordinary teamwork, was presented to the 9 public safety communication dispatchers who calmly and professionally handled the hundreds of phone calls that came in the night of May 23rd, 2014.
We're getting active shooting around Deltopia area and the shelter place.
None of us have ever been through a situation like that, and you just gotta rely on what you know and what you've been trained to do.
It was kind of hard to believe that much mayhem had occurred in such a short period of time. At the end, we didn't miss any victims. Nobody got lost in all of that chaos. Every single person was treated, picked up, and transported.
Another Sheriff's Unit citation went to the 13 Isla Vista Foot Patrol deputies who were on duty that night and responded to the critical incident. UCSB police officers also received numerous awards from their agency for their response. We thank and congratulate each and every one of them. Shortly after the Department Public Safety Awards were presented, the 2015 H. Thomas Geary Awards ceremony was held at the County Board of Supervisors meeting room to recognize individual law enforcement officers for excellence in law enforcement. The 5 deputies who received the Sheriff's Medal of Valor also received the prestigious H. Thomas Geary Award for Valor for their actions on the night of the Isla Vista murders. Detective Joe Schmidt was also honored with an H. Thomas Geary Award for superior performance. We thank the Santa Barbara Citizens Council on Crime for recognizing our sheriff's employees and other law enforcement officers for their outstanding work, with awards named after a Santa Barbara police officer who made the ultimate sacrifice. We congratulate all of the Geary Award recipients. Every year, the Sheriff's Office plans on thousands of people coming to Isla Vista for Halloween. But now a similar amount of planning and forethought goes into preparing for the spring break party known as Deltopia. As Lieutenant Rob Plastino of the Isla Vista Foot Patrol tells us this year, everyone came together to make sure it was a safe and local event.
Deltopia 2015.
This year, we did a lot of different things for Deltopia. We learned a lot of lessons last year. There were riots last year, so we decided that we would put in infrastructure this year that would help alleviate some of the issues we had last year. We had road barricades up this year. We brought in a first aid station. Our search and rescue team was out there. All these things played a part in us being able to maintain a safe environment. We included a lot of stakeholders from the community, university administration. There was behind-the-scenes efforts from a lot of important people in our county in order to push out a message to not just the local community, but also other campuses throughout California that Deltopia was not an event to come to. One interesting aspect to Deltopia this year, and for the first time ever in any of our major events, we included the associated students. They were involved in being a part of our efforts to ensure that there was safety out there to their own student population, but also to us. They helped assist us in pointing out problem areas throughout Isla Vista during the event of Deltopia. They handed out water to the crowd to keep them hydrated during the hot day. And they were just a very positive, visible aspect to the event.
Trying to let people, be aware of what's happening. That way they can be responsible for their own actions versus having to necessarily have the police tell them and give them a ticket that they don't necessarily need on their record. So we're just out here really trying to keep people safe and aware of what's going on and keep both sides accountable for what's going to happen.
Last year, one thing that we noticed was that the event was mainly hosted by the locals. They opened their doors to outsiders to come in. These outsiders who have no stake in Isla Vista came in to party. They didn't care about the community, and it ended up culminating into riots. This year, we did the exact reverse. We used the community here to send a message out to those from the outside that, hey, you're not welcome. We don't want you here at this event. And then they hosted their own small parties that were lockdown events that weren't open to outsiders. So any outsiders that did come into town really had no place to go. There was no venue for them to really party, and I think they came, spent some time here during the day. We all saw them out and about. There were some issues, but very minor in comparison to last year's. By the late evening, the party was done, and we were able to actually end the night a lot earlier than anticipated.
I'm from Los Angeles. I'm having loads of fun. The people here are very, very, very nice. I'm trying to find a place to drink this beer. Unfortunately, people aren't nice enough to let us in.
Everyone who lives here toned it down and kept it in work, so I don't feel like there would be too many problems like last year.
I think this year's a lot better than last year. I think it's better with having more protection. I definitely see a lot more police presence around here. I feel safer personally.
Our arrest numbers this year were a little bit lower than last year. I think that is good, proactive law enforcement out there. They're catching things that are occurring, but again, they were minor in nature. Another thing that we had that was very significant were the number of medical calls were significantly lower. Last year we had about 50 or so medical calls and transports. This year we had 9. And that's a tremendous decrease. And moving forward, I'd like to see those numbers become even lower, both on the arrest side, because we gained compliance, and also on the safety side of medical calls.
Thanks, Lieutenant Plastino, and again, a special thanks to all of the students for your cooperation this year. We also thank the men of the Mu Delta fraternity and all of the UCSB students who participated in creating a tribute videotape to the Isla Vista Foot Patrol, a video that was posted on YouTube. We can't tell you enough how much this video means to the dedicated men and women of the Isla Vista Foot Patrol and the entire Sheriff's Office.
We understand it may not be the easiest or most rewarding job at times, but we thank you for doing it and are happy to include the members of Ivy Foot Patrol and UCPD as a part of our community.
Thank you for taking the time out to express your appreciation in this very creative way. If you'd like to watch this video in its entirety, go to our website at www.sbsheriff.org or to the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office Facebook page.
911, what's the address of your emergency? What's going on? I was sitting in a car crash and there was a softball team in this van and the car came crashed. Sorry! Can you tell me exactly what happened?
Many Carpinteria High School students will think twice before getting behind the wheel after drinking, following a 2-day program that was so realistic it felt that if it had really happened. Here is Carpinteria's Community Resource Deputy, Jeff Diornalis, to show us the powerful Every 15 Minutes program.
Every 15 minutes is a program that started in Canada. It goes off the statistic that every 15 minutes someone is seriously injured or killed in a drunk driving related collision. The scenario was a driver was out with his friends drinking. He was actually celebrating his acceptance into the college of his dreams. They drive to the school. Once they get in the parking lot, the driver kind of horses around with his vehicle and can't maneuver it properly, and he ends up colliding into a van, which was actually some softball players that were loading up for a game. So in the scenario, we had 2 patients that were dead at the scene, and then we had an overall response from Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Department, the fire department here in Carpinteria, as well as AMR. The scenario unfolds as it is. We don't do a lot of choreographing of the scenario because it's kind of a training thing for us too.
In the crash scene, my friend Scarlett here died, and I was hanging out a window, and I had to listen to my friends yelling at me to stay awake and not die. And hearing your friends say something like that really takes you a long way because you don't understand the extent of how much pain one little decision can make everyone go through.
All the students that participated in this are actual CARPI students. They're not like actors or anything. They're devoting their time to do this. Just the fact that they're actual students in this scenario, that's people that the audience knows. So that hopefully has an impact on them as well. What I'm hoping for when we do these scenarios is that it leaves a long-lasting impact on the kids, on the decisions that they make. From a law enforcement and fire perspective, we take this opportunity as a training incident, and we purposefully don't make a lot of coordination in how we respond to the scene because we wouldn't be able to do that in a real-life situation. So I think the fact that we don't know exactly how it's going to unfold helps show the impact of what actually is going to happen.
In this case, like, it just felt so real. My body started shaking. I knew what was coming, how I was going to disappoint my family, everyone, like basically getting a lot of people injured.
Eventually it leads to determining that the driver's been drinking and ultimately place him under arrest.
Over the past 2 days, we have gone through extensive amount of emotions, and I can't begin to explain how much the Every 15 Minutes program has impacted me. It's so much more serious to me now, and it's huge to me, and it's made such an impact on me that I think it's like our jobs, like as people of this program, to show people that it's not right, and it's way bigger than anyone at this school can even realize.
I would just like us to take a moment of silence for anyone who has been injured or killed in a drunk driving related accident.
The second day there will be a mock funeral of the dead patients that were in this scenario. There'll be a video that will be played. Our driver was booked into jail, as well as a sentencing hearing where he was sentenced to prison.
Somebody was selfish that night. Horribly, horribly selfish. Had somewhere in the neighborhood of 9 mixed drinks. Got in the car, was driving close to 60 in a 30-mile-an-hour zone, swerved around a stopped car when Mallory and her friends were crossing in the crosswalk, and changed my life forever. So I'm here as a parent to say, If you're drinking, don't drive. If your friends are drinking, take your keys away. Do whatever it takes.
Now that I've experienced what I experienced last night and yesterday and even today in this whole assembly, I can find the courage to take the keys away from someone who's been drinking or drive to wherever to pick them up to bring them home so that they don't have to drive, and because they need to know that it's not right. I think it's definitely going to make a change in our community this year because I think everyone at our school was impacted.
Thank you, Deputy Diornalis, and everyone who was involved in providing this extraordinary program to hundreds of high school students. Thank you also to Matt Dyes for using his painful personal experience to help change lives. The Sheriff's Search and Rescue Team routinely trains on how to respond to lost and injured hikers. The summer is the team's busiest time of year due to the large number of hiker-related calls it receives. In this edition of Focus on Safety, Search and Rescue Team members Rick Stein and Nelson Tritchler show us what you need to know in order to hike safely.
There are various hiking tips that we would recommend. Never hike alone. Hike with somebody. If you become hurt, then someone can go for help. We also suggest that you know the area that you're hiking in. If you don't, make sure you take a map. You might want to bring a compass in order to orientate yourself.
Generally speaking, most people hike. They hike to a destination and then they turn around and come back. And along the way, there may be forks in the road. And the trail looks completely different coming down than it does going up. So when they are at a fork in the road, they should turn around and look to see what it looks like. Make a mental note of a landmark so that when they come back and there's a fork in the road, they take the right path.
You never want to go without telling somebody where you're going. And you want to tell them when you expect to be back. And if you're not back, then what to do. So those things are really, really important to help us if you have a need for our services.
A lot of times the hiker who has a dog neglects to bring enough water for their dog. The dog needs as much water as they do. And I would suggest 3 liters of water for a day hike for a hiker and an additional 3 liters of water for the dog. They get warm a lot quicker than we do. We can go out and we can shed a layer of clothes, adjust for the temperature. They cannot.
So when you're out hiking, there's some things that we like to have you take. I'm going to just show you some of the things I take when I go out for day hikes. It's just a small backpack. Some of the things that are crucial that you have is, number one, a good source of water. So this has a water bladder. Most day packs have these. So you definitely want to stay hydrated. I carry just a small little first aid pack. If I open this up, you would see I have just some gauze, some Band-Aids, some blistered material. Carry some little food, granola bars. I have some sunscreen. If I get some poison oak or in the poison oak area, I have some Techmu, which you can get at the local drugstore. I have extra batteries for a headlamp. Now typically you go hiking in the daylight, everything's fine, you anticipate being back at daylight, but sometimes you get delayed. So we suggest that you do have some type of light. So those are just some of the basic things that I carry. I also carry, as probably most people do, a cell phone. So you can use various apps on this to keep track of where you are. There's maps on there, there's a compass, and I also can use it if I need to call 911 in an emergency. Search and Rescue is a free service here in Santa Barbara County. We do not charge people for the service. The last thing we want to do is have people delay calls for service because they think they're going to get billed. That might put them in greater danger and might put our rescuers in greater danger by waiting. So we encourage people, if they feel that they need help, to call 911 and we'll sort everything out and try to get to them the best way we can.
Thanks to our search and rescue team for being on call 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. We would also like to welcome 8 new team members who completed the challenging Search and Rescue Academy and were sworn in by Under Sheriff Bernard Malakian in April. If you're interested in joining or helping to support this terrific team, go to the Sheriff's Search and Rescue Team website. The Sheriff's Office has 3 new deputy sheriffs on its team. In June, at a traditional ceremony in Santa Maria, deputies Maxwell Moore, Aaron Gray, and David Ashley graduated from the prestigious Allen Hancock Law Enforcement College Academy. The deputies were among 19 recruits who were sponsored by various local law enforcement agencies. In order to make it to graduation day, the recruits endured more than 800 hours of training. After the ceremony, the deputies were sworn into office by Under Sheriff Bernard Malekian, and they received their badges. Congratulations to each of our new sheriff's deputies, and best of luck in your careers. The Sheriff's Office would also like to congratulate Custody Commander Kelly Hamilton and Sergeant Chris Corbett on their recent promotions. Congrats also go out to Benjamin Johnson, who was promoted to Dispatch Supervisor. The Sheriff's Office welcomed Catherine Ward as our new Inmate Program Supervisor, Charles Roca as our Laundry Coordinator, and Custody Deputy Tariq Falfal. We're glad to have each of you join the Sheriff's Office family. A round of applause also goes out to a dedicated Sheriff's Lieutenant who was awarded the 2015 Special Olympics Southern California Santa Barbara Region Community Service Award. At an awards luncheon at the Sunken Gardens, Lieutenant Butch Arnaldi was recognized for his 30 years of service to the Special Olympics.
Butch is really the hero behind Special Olympics and law enforcement for us. He's at almost every single competition throughout South County and North County, and even competitions throughout Southern California. Our athletes really look up to him, and he's just a staple in the law enforcement community, really.
You couldn't have asked for such a better individual to step up to the plate and be part of Special Olympics.
One type of the many events Lieutenant Arnaldi helps coordinate are Tip-A-Cop events. This year, the season kicked off at the Outback Steakhouse in Goleta for lunch, where patrons came on Administrative Office Professionals Day. This is now the 18th year in a row that the Outback has hosted a Tip-A-Cop event. Petrini's restaurant in Goleta also opened its doors for a Tip-A-Cop dinner. District Attorney Joyce Dudley and I enjoyed welcoming and seating guests that evening. Employees from the District Attorney's Office, the Sheriff's Office, and the Probation Department worked as volunteer servers.
This is our 5th annual Tip-A-Cop at Petrini's, and all the tips will benefit Santa Barbara Special Olympics.
I was really impressed when I heard that we had basically every law enforcement entity involved in Special Olympics and fundraising, from our sheriffs to our DA, probation, city polices throughout the county, and jails and so forth.
Throughout the evening tonight, everybody would be really happy, jovial. I'm sure the tips will flow in. I think our customers will be happy, and the new customers that come in to try will be happy too.
At every Tip-A-Cop, we have several Special Olympics athletes, local athletes, that come and kind of assist the law enforcement. So they'll greet customers, they'll help serve, they'll help bus tables. And for them too, it's a great way for them to volunteer and feel like they're giving back. One of our athletes, Nanette Clark, is our superstar saleswoman. So she loves selling the merchandise and really getting to talk to people. That's her specialty.
These guys and gals are true athletes, and they get out there and they compete, and they're just like the professionals that you see on television, the same emotions, the same height, the same training.
Thanks to Petrini's and all of our Tip-A-Cop hosts for your continuing support of the Special Olympics. Another big fundraiser for Special Olympics is the Torch Run. More than 100 public safety employees from local agencies put on their running shoes and covered more than 100 miles in the county, taking turns carrying the symbolic torch. This year, the Sheriff's Office had runners from all different branches of the agency, from custody to dispatch to our very own undersheriff, who participated in this annual tradition.
Gold medal!
A fairly recent tradition that has taken off at the Sheriff's Office are the Coffee with a Cop events that we hold in different communities throughout Santa Barbara County. The gatherings are a great way for citizens to get to know sheriff's deputies who work in their community and to ask questions in a casual environment. The first North County Coffee with a Cop event was recently held at the Starbucks located inside Albertsons in Orchid. The turnout was great, and the Sheriff's Office looks forward to holding more Coffee with a Cop events in Orchid and in all the other communities within our jurisdiction. Another community outreach program that has been really well received is the Walk with a Cop events that have been held in the city of Goleta. The events take the Coffee with a Cop concept to a different level. Here's City of Goleta's Community Resource Senior Deputy Dave Valadez to show us more.
A lot of times on my foot patrols, people will stop and talk to me, and I just realized this is another venue that we could use for the Sheriff Department to reach out to the community and to form those partnerships. It really is what community policing is about, so there is a charge in that. When we, as a law enforcement agency, go ahead and build these partnerships with members of the community, we get to do our job better, we get to serve the community better, and they feel that. The community feels that. And we feel that reward coming back to us, like we did our job, we kept our oath, we did our service that we're supposed to do. And I think it's just a kind of organic, synergistic thing that just comes out of the people and law enforcement getting together. I don't think we can do our job without being told what the public needs, what the public wants. So this is vital, I think, just to good law enforcement.
Thank you, Deputy Valadez, for organizing such a great event. Finally, we end this roundup with a story about a special senior citizen named Pat, who gave everyone quite a scare when she went missing from her independent living facility in Solvang. Despite a search of the campus where she lived and her favorite spots all around town, Pat could not be found. Fortunately, she was found a couple of hours later, sipping coffee and in good spirits at a timeshare nearby. The next day, the sheriff's deputies who helped find her came by her home to surprise her on her 91st birthday.
Happy birthday, dear Pat. Happy birthday to you. God bless you. Thank you.
Pat, happy belated birthday. We're glad you're safe. As a reminder, the Sheriff's Office has a service called Project Lifesaver to help actively and quickly locate missing residents who suffer from Alzheimer's, dementia, or other disabilities before they become victims. To find out more about Project Lifesaver, visit our website at www.sbsheriff.org. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Sheriff's Roundup. Until next time, thanks for watching, and thanks for supporting us as we protect your safety.